Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Baron here. Now, as far as fighter aircraft go, it is commonly known that the BF-109s are some of the best fighters in the game. Very powerful, very fast, good climb rate. And for the German tech tree, they start at tier 6 with the Emil or the E class and above. We don't have the B, C's, or D's at this point, so as far as low-tier fighter aircraft for Germany, you can't really get the perfect fighter given the options that you have. You have your Heinkels and you have some Italian aircraft that, while very good in many aspects, have their drawbacks. So the question is, how do you find, or rather, of the options available, what is the best low-tier fighter aircraft? And by low tier, I'm talking 5 and below, given that matchmaking is reserves in tier 1, then tier 2 and tier 3, and then tier 4 and tier 5. So basically those 3 classes for matchmaking, as once you hit 6, you have the Emil, and from there you have a lot of BF-109s to choose from, as well as a lot of other aircraft. But for the most part, tier 5 and below, it is tough. Now, it is my opinion that currently, I think the HE112A0, the tier 3, is probably the best choice. And let's look at the options. Other tier 2 and tier 3 fighters, under the assumption that Matchmaker will put us in with tier 3 and below. And that does happen, as you can see in this match. I'm tiered up with Hurricanes, and then a lot of lower tiered fighters as well, so tier 3 and below. You have the Fiat G50s and the Mach-E C200s. With the Fiat G50, you have two 12.7mm machine guns, but they're rather slow firing. They have a slower rate of fire, and then this is pretty crucial, especially in historic, and especially if you're a new pilot who is not very accurate, as a lot of newer players flying low-tier aircraft for the Germans will be flying the G50s, as that will be the only thing they have available. You only have 300 total rounds, so you have 150 rounds per gun, and that can go really quickly. That gives you a burst mass of 0.77 kilograms per second. With the Mach-E or the Mach-E C200s, you have 740 rounds, split between two 12.7mm machine guns, giving you the same burst mass as the Fiats, because they are the same machine guns, with that being 0.77 kilograms per second. Now, when you look at the paper stats of this gun, on this HE112A0, you have 120mm cannon with 150 rounds, and at first glance that may not seem like a lot, but listen right now, look how slow these things fire. It gives it a burst mass of 0.74, so at first glance you may be like, oh, this doesn't give me as much firepower. However, once you have enough experience in this aircraft, you can upgrade your ammunition belts to the high explosive incendiary tracer rounds. And that is just all around good, because look at here, I'm engaging a Fury Mark 1. I just shot down 2 Hurricanes. And basically with high explosive incendiary tracers, you have a chance of blowing up a piece of the enemy aircraft. You have tracer rounds, so if you're newer and you're inaccurate, you kind of have an idea of where your shots are going each round, which is very helpful. You won't have these little gaps in basically visualization on your cannon rounds. And then finally there's incendiary, so even if it doesn't knock off a piece or critically damage, you have a chance of lighting the enemy on fire. So I would say overall, it has one gun, only the 20mm, but with those HEIT rounds and 150 rounds, that's actually more than enough ammunition to get multiple kill games without having to return to base and rearm. Now you can see my friend here, he's rather new, and he's flying the Fiat G50, and he's firing from distance. Now he would be much better served to upgrade to the Mach-E C200 with a few more rounds. So right here I get a little ballsy, just going back to the gameplay. He's the last aircraft, and I figured, you know what, let's try to dodge the AAA. I found this actually to have worked for me in the past, but while that's going on, this brings us to the questions of the day, as I'm interested in kind of Trying to find the best planes at certain tiers, and the question right now, and look at that, in a heads up, yeah, that guy may have 12 7.7mm machine guns, but if he doesn't hit, and you hit with one or two of your 20mm high explosive incendiary tracers, that guy's going down. So the question is, what is your favorite tier 3 and below German fighter, and why? Which do you think is best? And secondly, which do you think is the best tier 4 and 5? You basically have the Mach-E C202 Fulgor, which is beautiful in flight, but it doesn't have very good firepower. And then you have the HE112B series, which has the 20 mils and the lighter machine guns. However, I feel like it does not perform very well. It's not as maneuverable as that HE112A0 Heinkel. So I actually prefer this over any of the other Heinkel 112 series. I love the Fulgor, but man, do I wish it had some hitting power. So those are the questions. Favorite low-tier German fighters and why? I'm Baron, and as always, thank you for watching. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Baron here. So we're going to be trying out the biggest bad boy on the playground right now, the Kai 102 Otsu with the 57mm cannon. I'm in arcade mode. We also have the Kai 96 Premium Heavy Fighter. And look at this, we're on the Island of Misfortune. Take a look at this map. If you want to, pause it just to kind of get an idea of what's going on. We have the two airfields again, and I believe there's going to be a ground clash in the middle. Definitely Pacific based. I'm not Guam Island, so that is what it is based off. So